What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about when will we get a new Life is Strange game. Now, with Tell Me Why coming out, and you may have seen my review of the first chapter of the second chapter. I'm actually recording this before Chapter 2, but you guys will see it after I've done the review of Chapter 2. But with it coming out, I know Don't Nod, and the next Life is Strange game, by the way, we'll talk about it. I don't even fully believe is going to be from Don't Nod, but it's definitely sparked my thought process of, man, I miss Life is Strange. I miss good Life is Strange games. If you guys have watched the channel for a long period of time, you should know that I really did not like Life is Strange 2 whatsoever. We don't have to talk about that much, but I was pretty notorious for my hatred of that game when it first came out. But that's going back quite a while. I want a new game. I really do. I respect this series. I don't like the second game, but what they did with the first game and Before the Storm, I want another one. And in my mind, in all reality, I truly believe Deck 9 is how we're going to get that game. Don't Nod, obviously very busy with Tell Me Why, busy with Twin Mirrors, which I personally believe they've handled that game atrociously bad. I don't think they could have done a worse job with how they've done that game. We know they've opened a new studio as well. They have some worrying signs. I'm not completely sold on, the things they've done in the past, and also, again, maybe spreading themselves out too thin. Do I think we will get a Life is Strange game from them? Yes, and I don't even like to say Life is Strange 3. I've seen people call it Life is Strange 3. I was considering it, maybe just because it's a more, I don't know, people would maybe be more inclined to click it or look at it. But in all reality, I really don't think we're getting the next game, the next Life is Strange game. I truly do not believe is going to be called Life is Strange 3 or Life is Strange Season 3. I think those base Life is Strange games will always be Don't Nod. I think Don't Nod will eventually make a Life is Strange Season 3. I think that'll probably take another 2 or so years. I think this game is going to come from Deck 9. I think they'll do another spin-off game. Now, would I prefer a game not connected to... And actually, let me say this. We know Don't Nod's goal is to not basically use what they've already used. So if they make a Season 3, it would be with brand new characters, brand new location. In fact, I think they even said that when the second game came out, when they did interviews about it, they talked about that. Deck 9 obviously is not trapped in that. They're very willing, as we obviously saw with Before the Storm, to take characters that we know, even characters that we know part of their story, and kind of flesh them out like they did with Rachel, which again I think they did. Look, Before the Storm I think is really, really solid. I know that's kind of where a lot of people started to turn on this franchise. Season 1 I think was generally very, very well liked. I don't when it first came out, I was part of the group that absolutely adored this game. It's actually when I started first watching theory videos on Life is Strange, and I think a lot of people really, really liked that game. And then Before the Storm, kind of, it had people say, I don't like this, I don't like that. Season 2, I feel like definitely split the fan base. Again, I don't think I'm the only one. I think I am in the minority of despising that game, but I don't think I'm the only one. I think there's a small group of us, but I do think it's valid to have a lot of problems with that game. So it's definitely been a very rocky road ever since the first season, and that kind of leads me to say, well, if there is a new Life is Strange game, what do they do? Well, when Before the Storm came out, and even that farewell episode, the farewell episode, by the way, I think is my personal favorite episode they've ever done of Life is Strange. So I really do trust, but that's kind of my point. I trust Deck 9. I think they did a good job with Before the Storm. There were talks that maybe, could they do a Before the Storm 2? I don't think I would like that. I think we've gotten what we need from Chloe and Rachel. I think, obviously spoiling the ending of Before the Storm is it kind of does lead right into where Life is Strange begins. So I really don't think you could do something like that. I feel like if you wanted to do something, you could bring back Max. I've been a huge supporter of bringing back Max for the longest time. Again, when Life is Strange Season 2 came out, this channel, it was a lot smaller. It's still not obviously a big channel, but one of the main things I talked about here was Life is Strange, and I actually it did pretty good. There were a lot of people that watched and were part of that journey leading into Season 2, and then during Season 2, I had a fair amount of people. I'm hoping, by the way, to get those people back. So if you have returned, thank you and welcome back. But really, I think it is a spin-off game. I don't think they're the ones to make a Life is Strange 3. And another thing is, my God, this game they've been working on something for a very, very long time. I mean, the last game Before the Storm came out in 2017. It's been 3 years, and in fact, they even celebrated the anniversary of the first episode of that. So whatever they've been working on, let's say 2.5 years, pretty consistently. They still have job postings. I actually went on their website to look at job postings. They're hiring. They have a couple of higher up positions that could be a little worrying, but mainly it seems like they're not hiring for people at a beginning of a project. You know what I mean? Like, they have the big positions in their studio filled, which is good news, and that's something that I look for too. Is if you have people hiring for lead artists and lead designers and game director, and in fact, actually, they do have some of those. But if you have all of them and you have a lot of people that, again, like the main leads of a team, that kind of does signify, okay, maybe you're just starting, or maybe something went wrong. You had to cancel stuff. People left. People came in. That you can read into it a little bit with them. From what I can tell, it seems like everything's still okay. We know they are working with Square Enix again, and that's why I think everything kind of puts together that Deck Nine is that studio. They're working with Square Enix. We know the relationship they've had with the Life is Strange games. They loved doing it. I think, honestly, they did it better. I would have preferred them to make Season 2 over Don't Nod, so I think they can definitely handle the franchise, in my opinion, probably better than Don't Nod. So I'm completely okay with it being them. Again, it kind of just boils down to, what do they do? Do they even, and this is a worry of mine, but do they maybe even do something like what they did with Before the Storm, but with Sean and Daniel? Do they do could you consider Before the Storm like a 1.5, and then you had 2, and then do they make like a 2.5? I wouldn't love that. I don't like those characters whatsoever. That goes into my hatred of Life is Strange Season 2, so I would prefer they leave that alone. And I don't know, I just feel like there's a general just a better positive attitude about the first game with a lot of the stuff that happened. I feel like if you just went back there, maybe told a side story there, and we've talked about this before, actually. I'm pretty sure I made videos on this before. Make your own thing. It depends on what kind of relationship they have with Square Enix, what relationship they have with Don't Nod, but I'd be completely fine if Deck 9 wanted to tell their own Life is Strange story. The thing is, I don't know, I just think history and the numbering of the game, and it's just tough because when you have studios that do this, you kind of get pigeonholed. And I feel like Deck 9, yes, they've only done this one time with Before the Storm, but I feel like just because of that and the situation we now have, I kind of feel like there's literally this stigma out there that, okay, the main, again, Life is Strange 1, 2, and 3, those are Don't Nod territory. Okay, Don't Nod makes Season 3. They make the seasons. They make the next main installment. Deck 9, you do spin-offs. You know what I mean? You do the farewell episode, like that kind of stuff. That's where you lie. And I think, again, they did a very good job at it, but I almost wonder, I actually almost think that takes them out of the running to do anything brand new. So then, again, it boils down to, do they go back to Life is Strange, the first game, and do a spin-off there? Do they, again, maybe do a Max story? I mean, I would, if I had to rank them, there wouldn't even be a ranking, because I'll tell you right now, it would be one thing. Just do another thing with Max. That's all I want. Really, that's all I want. Chloe, I mean, if you want, I'm actually a fan of Chloe. I know a lot of people despise Chloe. I think that's what Before the Storm started to do, is make people say, yeah, she's not a good character. I still think she's great. I think she's well acted. I think she is a solid character. I know a lot of people don't think that, and that's, by the way, that's totally cool, because I can relate, because I hate Sean and Daniel, and even if you disagree with that, see, we all have our disagreements. It's completely fine. So we'll have to see what happens, but I really do think we should get something relatively soon. This is a very long time to wait for something like this, especially if it's like a 3-episode, like an episodic game, takes 6, 7, 8 hours to beat it. Really no reason why this should take any longer than like 4 years, you know what I mean? So I feel like here we are at the 3-year anniversary of Before the Storm. I really do feel like within the next year or so, we should have this game. I wonder if they go with the schedule they had gone with. So they felt comfortable, obviously, starting this thing in late August. That's when they started Before the Storm. So we'll have to see if maybe with next gen stuff they come out of the woodworks at some point and say, hey, we're ready to announce our new game. They actually announced Before the Storm at a Microsoft event. Remember that E3 of 2017. They announced Before the Storm at Microsoft's E3. So they had a relationship. Do they still have a relationship? Could they show something at a Microsoft event, or maybe next E3 they pop up? It is a Square Enix kind of thing. So Square Enix is the publisher, they're the developer. So maybe Square Enix takes the kind of the pressure on them, or puts basically just puts the responsibilities on them to announce it. They could very well do it. We know they're very well known for Kingdom Hearts, for games like that, Final Fantasy. But obviously, a Life is Strange is pretty important to Square Enix as well. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? When do you think we're getting a new Life is Strange game? Who do you think would make it? What do you think it would be about? All those things, let me know in the comments below. I truly do enjoy making these videos. I always love talking about Life is Strange. I always did like talking about Life is Strange. Obviously, it's been a very, very long time. If you guys liked this video, again, make sure you guys show your support. I would love to make more videos like this. And obviously, when a new Life is Strange game does get announced, I will absolutely make a ton of videos on it, okay? Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next video.